So when this video goes out, the Payday 3 beta has either ended or is about to end. Regardless, I want to give my thoughts on the whole experience of playing the Payday 3 beta, what I thought was good, what I thought was maybe less good, and just give my thoughts overall, maybe some suggestions on how to improve the experience going into Payday 3. That bit's more of a tag-along because even Starbreeze themselves said don't really give us much ideas for improvement because bear in mind the build was old, and that is something that I want to remind everyone in this video because a lot of people didn't really clock on that. The build was from April this year. It was not the most recent up-to-date build. It was even more antiquated compared to what we played in Sweden. It was the same kind of branch, but it had one less heist, less features, so it really was just a shell of what even we played in Sweden, let alone what you'll get in the full experience in September. So I just want to put that out there as a reminder because I think some people did forget that or did know it when they were criticizing some of the features and some of the issues with the game. But overall, I want to talk about the things that stood out to me. I'm not going into this with a particularly big plan of here's 20 things I want to talk about. I did that last video, but I want to talk about the things that really popped out to me and the things that I thought were quite special. And first off, I've got to start by talking about stealth. I know, I'm a big stealth boy. I really get that at this point, but I just am so in awe of how much better the stealth experience is in Payday 3 compared to Payday 2. It's something I bigged up when I said I played the game early. It's something that you've now seen through a lot of gameplay in my own solo stealth, which initially wasn't doing too good, but seems to be picking up. So thank you to everyone who's been watching that. I really do appreciate it. It took a lot of work, so seeing a lot of you check it out means a great deal to me, believe me. But it was just really fun to get used to the mechanics. I love that it isn't just a split now, that normal and overkill stealth, like that range on Payday 2, is completely the same. There's only really guard health when they've spotted you that changes, which is inconsequential. And then mayhem to death sentence is also a new difficulty, but it's all the same across those three difficulties. So really there was only two possible options if you wanted easy stealth or slightly harder stealth. Here, it feels like maybe normal and hard are quite similar, but very hard is a step up and overkill is about 50 steps up from that. So having a bit more flexibility as to what difficulty you want to play at and that having its own consequences, its own challenges, and just really mixing up the experience for you, I think is a massive improvement. Even just on very hard having one less pager and on overkill having two less pages, that's good. Overkill Stealth of the Bank having a QR code to unlock the upper floor and also having the guard with the infinite pages, that's even more. It's more unique and it gives you a bit more flexibility as to what you want to challenge yourself with. I don't personally recommend Overkill Stealth as a general stealth difficulty for people. I think it's good for a challenge, but I think if you committed yourself to that, you'd probably be going insane very quickly, because I know I did in just recording it for one day. It gave me a headache. It was not a good day. But overall, I just have to sing its praises because I don't really have any issues with stealth for Payday 3. I think that stealth works very, very well. I love the new features like micro cameras, like being able to do a lot of things in casing mode. That's a big reason why it's so much better, because you can really plan when you mask up. What is the point where you have to have your mask on and your gun out, and you can coordinate yourself and lead yourself up to that point in particular. You don't have to be like, oh, now I'm doing a main objective, I better mask up. No, you can wander around and hack computers, you can go upstairs, pull levers, as long as you're not spotted, no one's going to care. So it's good, it's flexible. And I also love that now, thanks to us having dedicated servers and not really any desync, just a bit of lag here and there, group stealth is far more attainable, because with desync, group stealth was just an absolute nightmare in Payday 2. If you played stealth in a group like Cloud Dasher did with his public stealth lobbies, I mean, the dude had a lot more patience and tolerance than I would have done. It was just a nightmare. But in Payday 3, you can coordinate with a team now and have several people maybe masked up doing the key objectives, some people who are demasked who are doing the things you can do without a mask on, but also moving bags. Just the fact that people without masks on can move bags is a huge thing. And it means that you can focus on getting the objectives done, and your teammates who maybe aren't as confident can do some of, not the busy work, but the easier stuff, basically. If you're not as good at the game, there's stuff for you to do, and I think that's a phenomenal change to stealth. All I can say is that I hope all the other heists have just as much stealth flexibility, assuming they are all loud or stealth doable. I'm hoping they all will be. If one or two aren't because they want to go full loud, fair enough, whatever. But I do want the majority of heists to have stealth options, especially with how good it is. I don't want it wasted on one or two heists, so that's all I'll say there. Stealth, beautiful. And since I've talked about stealth, let's talk about loud. Loud, as I've said, I don't think it's had as big of a step up from Payday 2 the way stealth has, but that's because stealth is leaps and bounds better than it was before. But loud in its own way is vastly improved from Payday 2. Just even things like having enemy health be the same across all difficulties is such a huge change, and one that's very satisfying. I like that the level of difficulty in the game now is not decided by how bullet spongy the enemies are, it's decided by how smart they are, the way they move around and respond to you. I do think they do deal a bit more damage, I've noticed that, or maybe just be that they're more accurate. I don't think it is damage, it might just be accuracy, to be completely honest honest with you, but just that they feel a bit more lethal on higher difficulties. It's not necessarily just a nice, easy fight, which on normal, it isn't even that easy. Like, normal Payday 3 heisting is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not particularly challenging, but I was playing on stream last night at the time I recorded this. I'm making this on Saturday. I'm doing like 3 videos in one day because I'm really on that video recording grind. But on stream, I did a normal heist at the end of my stream, and we failed. I'm not taking any credit for it. It's because my teammates didn't have a blooming clue what they were doing. They thought thermite bags were loot, but there's enough of a challenge there that even normal could put up a bit of a challenge for you if you're not completely assembled as a squad. So you don't even want to try very hard or overkill unless you've got a gritty team of hardened heisters that know what the heck they're doing. You won't manage it. You really won't. I like that on normal difficulty, you can't just stand there like you can in Payday 2 and be like, I am immortal, fear me. It's not going to happen at all. It just gets more progressively challenging in the way that the enemy behaves as you go up, and that's the biggest improvement for me. I think it's such a phenomenal thing, and I'm really, really happy with how Loud works out. I haven't got too much more to say about it specifically because as an experience, it's still fun the way Payday 2 was. It's just more fun and more interesting now to me personally. I think there's some really good stuff in there, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it. I think Loud is also vastly improved. Really enjoyed it. I also liked getting to have a bit more time just experimenting with the game. As I mentioned a whole bunch of times with the whole Sweden thing, I only got a couple of hours on hands of the game. I got slightly less than a couple of the partners because, as I said, I was doing the interviews with Almir and Andreas, so that took a bit of time out for me. I still got a good experience of the game. I still got a gist for what it was and was able to make a 45-minute video talking about it. But while we were in the Sweden office, this is no discredit to Starbreeze, this is just the very nature of the trip, there was very much a case of, I'm on a time limit here, let's see what I need to see and play what I need to play. I didn't get that chance as much to kick back and go, let's have a wander, let's explore the things I can do, let's explore what's on offer here. I was like very much in fact-finding, note-taking mode. So I love that I got to have the time to explore how the weapons work, how customization works, how the vendors work in a lot more detail so I can recall information better. And all in all, the way that the menus are laid out, I think in places it's a little bit confusing. Sometimes you'll like buy a suit and it won't take you to the suits page. You'll have to buy it, then navigate over and pick it out. It's not quite as intuitive as Payday 2's perhaps, but I think that the system overall works fairly well. I like there being a whole vendor section and all the vendors being organized into tabs so you can buy everything in one place. I think that's much more user-friendly. But you can party up quite easily with people on other platforms while you're looking at guns, while you're planning your builds. You can sort yourself out and then go into matchmaking. It just feels like everything's a bit more modern and better organized for the most part. And I think that's really, really good. I really, really like that. Obviously, like I've said in that top 10 video as well, I really wish we'd been able to see the challenges, have a little bit of a fiddle around with them and see what the options were. But I'm sure we'll all be able to dive in and explore the challenges in detail when Payday 3 launches in September, so there'll be a lot to talk about then, a great deal. Of course, I can't talk about the beta and sit here singing all of its praises without also offering some valid criticism. As a lot of us know, the beta did not run very well. There's been a lot of issues. So there's been matchmaking issues where people have not been able to connect, there's been nebula bugs, there's been crashes. For me personally on the Xbox Series X, I found the game ran very, very well. I had a solid 60 FPS at all times. I crashed, I think, once in all the times that I played, at least so far at the time of recording. I've still got one more stream tonight and a bit more time to play, so that could change. But so far, one crash, maybe two. So it's run very, very well. But I do think that some of the issues with the matchmaking, I found myself in a lot of solo lobbies. It was how I was able to pull off the solo stealth, because there's no private lobbies in the beta. I just looked out because no one happened to be playing Overkill, or it just wouldn't connect me for whatever reason. But especially on the Friday night, I was trying to party up, not seeing people in my party, so that was difficult. But leveling up was the big issue, whether it was the fact that you weren't leveling up at all because you weren't completing challenges, or leveling up was frozen, or the challenges were completing and you just weren't seeing it. It wasn't super well organized in that sense, but that was the whole point, right? It was a tech test to see what worked and what didn't, and I think it's quite apparent to Starbreeze what didn't work, and hopefully they can implement those fixes in the full game so we don't have this at launch. Because regardless of how good or bad the beta was, it's going to be inevitable, in my personal opinion. There's going to be server instability when the game comes out. Yeah, sure, 100,000 people can play the beta now, but when it comes out at launch, there's going to be all the Game Pass users for Xbox who want to try it, checking it out with no price tag. I don't know how many people check out new games when they're added to Game Pass, but there could be quite a lot of people. There's a lot of subscribers to that system, so you don't know. I honestly think server instability is going to be a thing to worry about, but I hope that the experience from the beta will improve it and make things a smoother landing for Payday 3 at launch, because that's something that's very, very important. And hopefully then progression will also work as intended. I do think one thing I would add personally into Payday 3, if I can make a suggestion, this will lead into my improvement section now, so we'll get to that. So in fact, we'll just start that here. This is the improvement section, even though they said they don't want too many. Here are just some things I would suggest from my own personal opinion. I would love it if when you complete a challenge, it tells you mid-heist. I'd love it to be a toggle on and off feature, because not everyone will want that, and that's totally fine. But I'd love in the middle of a game, if it's like, get 10 headshots with a shotgun, it tells me that. So I don't have to worry about only getting shotgun kills to finish a challenge. I can move on to doing whatever else I want to do. I'd love it to pop up with a little thing on screen, almost like when you earn an achievement in Payday 2 to go, you've completed Shotgun Headshotter version 2 or something like that, you know what I mean? That would be really, really cool. But other improvements beyond that, for one thing, I don't want to be a broken record here, but it's the same issue Payday 2 had on consoles. We need an FOV slider. Whether that's in the plan, whether it's already in the build or not, it was not in the beta, and it's vastly noticed. I didn't really properly clock it until I started watching videos of people like Noli and going, oh yeah, we don't have an FOV slider. So please add one. That's it, no notes. Just give us an FOV slider, please. Thank you very much. Beyond that, I only have two other things to talk about. One is performance. I want to acknowledge this a little bit because I don't know if this is Payday 3's problem or the Xbox Series S's problem, but I have had a lot of people tell me the Xbox Series S in particular had a very hard job running Payday 3. Whether it was constant frame rate drops, crashes, I've had a lot of people on that specific platform telling me the game was not run as well. Now, me personally, I was terrified of this happening. I don't know a lot about game console specs specifically, but when I heard about the Xbox Series S and X and how the S was a next-gen console but not quite as powerful, that immediately rang alarm bells for me anyway, because I thought, what happens when we get to the point where there are games that will run on Series X, but Series S will start to buckle? And for the price difference of £100 or $100, I was like, is it worth that risk? That was why I personally saved and just got the X. I was like, if I'm going to get a next-gen console, I'm going to get the one. Obviously, not everyone's in that situation. I fully understand going for it for a budget reason, but PS5 had a budget console that was $100 cheaper, and the only difference was it didn't have a disc drive. That, to me, seems like a better way of doing things, because most games are bought digitally anyway now. So I'm saying this because I don't know if it's a Series X specific problem. It could be that Payday 3 is quite a powerful game under the hood, even on Unreal Engine 4, and the Series S is buckling under that weight. It could be that, but I do think it could also just be general beta instability, that just that platform that's not quite as powerful has struggled more, which is why I want people in the comment sections to let me know, what platform did you play on and what instabilities did you have, if any? Let me know, because for me personally, I had almost no issues on Series X, but I'm interested to know what the PC users had, especially comparing your specs, so let me know what specs you have if you're on PC. It could be a Payday thing, could be a Series S thing. If it is a Payday related thing, hopefully the Series S will run the base game a lot better in September, but if it's Series S related, then yikes, all I'll say there. Finally, the only other thing I want to note is just making things a tiny bit easier for the solo player. For me personally, Payday 2, I don't think ever penalised you for playing on your own, at least not in my opinion. But there were a couple of things with doing the overkill solo stealth in particular, but it also applies to Loud for one of them, that make me feel like playing on your own is a bit more of a bad idea, which it shouldn't be, because I really like playing Payday on my own. For one thing, the die pack situation in the bank vault. I've had multiple people tell me, oh, I can do 6, I can do 7. Mate, maybe I've got shaky hands, I can only defuse 4 die packs. That's a safe amount that you can defuse. 5 if you're pretty good, maybe 6 or 7 if you've got the reflexes of an absolute demon. I don't know how you're doing it if you are, but apparently it's possible. But even if you can defuse 7 die packs, that's still not all of them. And I don't like that your income is reduced as a result of playing on your own, because you have to secure at least 1 die-packed bag then. So I really want that to change. I think the best way to do it is change the timer of the die packs dependent on people in the lobby. As soon as you've got 2 people in the lobby, you can easily defuse all the die packs. 3 and 4 just make it next to impossible to fail it or mess it up in any way. But on your own, adding an extra, say, 5 or 10 seconds to the die pack timer just to make sure you can defuse them all would be a very considerate thing, and I'd really like to see Starbreeze implement that. But also just some things like, especially on Overkill Stealth, when you've got an objective located in a certain room, there's a manager's computer you need to hack basically to get the vault code, and sometimes the room it spawns in will be full of civilians, and if they spot you, guards will see you and it will just erupt. Even with the 2 pages, if you were careful with them, you'd still have a real problem with getting spotted. And I felt like if I had a room that was full of civvies where the computer was, I was screwed. Of course, someone else could walk in if they were demasked and just hack the computer and not have a problem. But if you're doing solo stealth, it's kind of like in Big Bang where the upper floor, trying to hack that on your own is next to impossible if you're not really careful. I don't want a repeat of that in Payday 3. So I think maybe some fixes to the code here and there just so that certain things are not impossible on your own for solo stealth. Overkill solo stealth is very hard. I don't want that to change for the most part, but I don't want it to be anything that makes it feel impossible, and that's just one thing I felt made it a little bit too hard, just in my opinion. But apart from that, that's pretty much all I've got to say about the beta. It's a good overall perspective. I don't want to go for like 20 minutes, I've been recording for 15 already, and I want to just give my overall concise thoughts on what I liked and what I didn't like as much, and just talk about the beta in general. So there's my thoughts on everything in Payday 3's beta. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the beta. Give me your pros, your cons, everything in between. What did you think of the experience? Did you enjoy it? Did you have issues with it? Did you not get in at all? Please let me know down below. And if you didn't play the beta, has it changed your opinion on whether you're excited for the game or not? Or do you think maybe it doesn't look as good having seen the beta? Do you think it looks absolutely spectacular? Have you now pre-ordered after seeing the beta? Let me know. I'll be intrigued to know. Thank you all very much for watching. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Next time, we're going to be talking about a big issue in Payday 3 that we, again, haven't really addressed. I'm sticking with my theme of talking about things that people haven't talked about too much, but I really want to handle one big thing that a lot of people haven't danced around yet because we don't know a lot of information, so I want to do a bit of speculation like I did with modding. I'll see you all very soon for that video. Until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, hit the like button if you've enjoyed, click subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you all very soon with some more Payday 3 content. Until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you all soon.